well, greetings, everybody. Welcome once again to the Rec Poker Podcast. As always, sponsored by Running Aces Racetrack, Casino, and Hotel, and website AMP. And this is our Chats edition. We get to talk to cool people. And today we've got a pretty cool one, Martin Jacobson, 2014 WSOP main event winner, a cool $10 million. So we'll chat with him about that experience and about his life and his journey and all of that stuff. But first, let's introduce the panel. The quote that I pulled is actually one that Martin loves. He posted this prior to the November 9. It's from the Roman philosopher Seneca, who said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity."
Ooh, that's a good one. Seneca is one of my favorites. Good call, Steve. My name's Jim Reed. You can learn about me by going to rec.poker/crew, because I'm on the wrecking crew along with a bunch of other wizards that would normally be here today. And the only quote I have is, I'm interested in talking to Martin Jacobson today.
Nice quote. Well done. Well, after we have the conversation, as you guys know, we end the podcast digging into some of the community happenings around Rec Poker. We do have an important announcement from Running Aces, so excited to share that with you. We're also going to be sharing the names of all the people who won the home games, the information about the seminar, the book study, the study groups, the Learning with Partners, the Learn Pro Poker Partnership, Tuesday night OPA, Thursday night Twitch, all kinds of cool stuff. We'll get you guys up to speed on that. But right now, let's bring him in. Martin Jacobson, how are you, sir?
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. I'm doing all right. Yeah. Scoop just ended, which is a 3-week long online series. So it's been quite hectic, to be honest. But yeah, so just recovering a little bit from all the madness, all the button clicking for straight 3 months or 3 weeks. It feels like 3 months.
Yeah, it feels like the longest 3 weeks of your life. Why don't you give folks a little idea of that? Because I know a number of our folks at Rec Poker dabble in that. They play, a tournament here or there, but we're working full time or that kind of stuff. So it's just dabbling. But what does that look like for you? 3 weeks of this online Scoop series. How many hours are we talking about? How many tables are you playing? Like what's involved there?
So I normally play about 12 to 14 tournaments at once. So the way it works is that, so I'll start my grind around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, since I'm in the European time zone, and tournaments are still, even though Black Friday happened, obviously, but tournament schedule is still stuck to the sort of US time zone, Canadian time zone. So obviously, if you live over there, it's great. Yeah, you can start at 9 in the morning, or depending if you're at the East or Pacific. But here in Europe, it's a little bit trickier, but it has gone better since Black Friday. I used to start my sessions at around 8 o'clock at night, and they used to go on to like 4 or 5 in the morning. Now it's a little bit better. I start at 4, and I'm usually done by 1 or 2 a.m. And then I have like my cool down routine. I try to wind down, from playing, and it's not just go straight to bed. Obviously, my mind's spinning at that point. So, but with tournaments, it's so hard to know how long your session's going to be. So to just kind of, when you're going to start, but you never know when you're going to end, kind of a thing. So the way it goes is that I start registering a bunch of tournaments. I play around 12 at the same time. And then there's a few hours of, like, we call it the reg window, where you register a bunch of new tournaments that pop up on the schedule. And then around 10 o'clock, it's sort of like there's a few turbo tournaments that you can fill up if you have some screen space at that point. But otherwise, it starts, winding down, and you get down to 6 tables and 4 tables. And then hopefully you have 1 or 2 deep runs where you can actually like really focus on, and that's when the fun starts. Before that, it can be quite hectic.
That's kind of what I'm curious about. We've talked about this a bit before, people playing 2, 4, 8, 14 tables at once. For you and your level of experience, is it mentally grueling to do that, or is it really just you're just so you know what you're going to do in every situation, and yeah, you got to pay attention, but it's not? Or are you mentally exhausted at the end of one of those days?
Yeah, definitely. It's extremely exhausting, and it's something I noticed now after Scoop ended. I had my last session on Wednesday, and I'm still feeling the aftermath of it, of the 3 weeks of like constant focus and constant stress of all the ups and downs, because it's not just making the decisions in the tournaments and when I play, it's the swings too. Like that's very draining because it's just so many ups and downs during a tournament series like that. I got 16th place in the high roller main event, which was a good result, but it didn't put me in the green over the course of the 3 weeks. So I needed a top finish there, like probably like top 7 or so. I would have ended up on the series overall, and it was 1.5 million for first, or 1.2 million for first. So it was a huge. I think I cashed for 50. So it's massive, difference in payout. And at that point, when there's 2 tables left, like you win a flip or you lose a flip, and like that could essentially determine the overall success of these 3 weeks. So that to me is more stressful than anything, and the uncertainty of not knowing how it's going to play out. But that's what I love as well. So it's it's like a hate-love relationship sort of.
It is, and I'm curious. So I mean, you're talking maybe over 3 weeks, of course, of 300 tournaments or something that you're playing. And I think for recreational players, how that are just playing live tournaments at the local casino, how long does it take you to get 300 tournaments played? And so maybe talk a little bit about what we've talked about before with playing online and getting that much volume. From a recreational player perspective, I mean, that just has to help your game, right? I mean, you're doing it professionally. This is your income, and obviously it's helping your game as well. But from a recreational player perspective, maybe talk a little bit about the value of playing online and just getting that many reps. Maybe not 12 or 14 tables at a time, but just the value of seeing that many situations over and over again.
Yeah, I think it's tremendously beneficial to your progression as a player, because like you say, it's all about getting the reps in. Like I study on the side, of course. So I study game theory, and I go over my plays and look at hand history reviews, try to find leaks and improve my game. But at the end of the day, you need those reps to make it stick, because it's such a complex game, poker, that you need to get into these situations in real time to actively learn and get better at it, in my opinion. And that's just what makes you a better poker player. Getting in these spots, and like the more experience you have, the better you'll be, if you're actively thinking about your decisions and striving to get better at all times. There's different mindsets. Some players are striving to be the best poker player they can be, and others are just happy playing a tournament, and they are not really considering their decisions that much. So it all depends, what your goal is. But for me, like, I love that competitive side of things, and always being quite harsh on myself. But that's also what drains me mentally, because I'm quite harsh on myself. So if I feel like I haven't played optimally or made a big mistake, like it could take a few days to get over it.
Yeah, so actually I had a question about that. You talked about sort of hand histories being a way that you look for leaks. When, for us, we've got a lot of low-hanging fruit as recreational players. We can find ways to improve every time we shine the light somewhere. But hand histories seem like a great way for everybody. What other kind of ways do you use to study or to look for ways to improve? And what kind of stuff can more recreational level players use, or what good techniques for that?
So like nowadays, when you reach my level, at least, like I use a lot of solver work. So I like to see what the computer would do in a different scenario. But obviously there's flaws in that as well, because the players we play against aren't computers. So I can't solely adopt a computerized strategy when I'm playing against a human that's not going to play optimally. So, but I still think it's a good base and a good guideline of what the right decision might be. And you can also lock the decisions that the computer would make for what you think that your opponent would make in real time. That's quite time consuming and it takes a lot of time. So it might not be the most efficient way of learning. But another thing, if I'm not doing that and I just want to brush up. Like I like to watch replays of final tables, for example, like both live and online, and just follow the action and see what my peers are doing, and then try to get inside their heads and try to think, what would I do in this spot, and like what are they doing, and like how's their approach compared to mine, and then sort of like evolve from there. And that's kind of how I started. Like thinking back early days in my poker career, I started watching poker on TV, and by then, there was very limited amount of resources and softwares available to improve. So what I did, I just watched the replays of these final tables, and then I was trying to figure out what they were doing and why they were doing certain things, and listening to the commentators, and just kind of felt involved in the game. And I still like to do that even today.
Yeah, we do a lot of like hand history reviews and final table reviews here at Rec Poker. And I think what makes it such a great learning tool is that everyone's looking at the same situation, and then they're talking about, these are the factors that I'm thinking about. These are the things that I might do differently, or this is what I think this person's trying to do. And having that specific scenario to really be able to drill down into and change a few variables at a time seems to be a way that no matter what level you're on, it's a way that you can access the game and think about it strategically.
Yeah, exactly. Like poker, we need to remember, poker is a game of incomplete information, right? That's why it's not as black and white and ask the computer, oh, what should I do here? Like it depends who you're playing against. So it's all, for me, poker is all about perspective. So you want as much perspective of other players and inputs that you can get, so you can broaden your own arsenal and your own way of thinking about the game. So that's also why it's so important to have a strong group of community that you can discuss poker with, so you can hear their thoughts and their analysis of hands, so you can learn from them. And because otherwise, if you're trying to do everything on your own, like you're sort of limited to how much you can grow.
One of the things I want to talk to you about too a little bit is, there's this whole moneymaker effect, and I actually think that that Rec Poker is a result of the Jacobson effect. And so I'll explain myself a little bit. So I started playing poker late in life, like 2010 or so. I started playing with my kids, right? Like me and two of my buddies had 10 teenage kids. We started playing poker because we trying to figure out a way to connect with our kids. So we did that, and for a few years, and I'd watch a little bit on TV, and then I watched the World Series main event in 2014. And what really struck me with you is, people say, one of the greatest final tables ever played. I didn't know enough about poker to know that or whatever, but I loved how you're just presented yourself, and just kind of, you felt like it seemed like you were in the zone. You were respectful. All your interviews were just so well done and thoughtful. And it's sort of like, it brought me to this place of going, oh, maybe I can be a thoughtful, good person and play poker. Like it felt like, so many of the people, so many of the people I'd been introduced to or that I'd seen are either kind of blowhards or these huge mega, self-oriented personalities. And watching you was like, man, this seems different. This seems like somebody that I could jive with or model, sort of my game after. Anyway, whatever. But then it was the next year I started the Rec Poker podcast, just to think, man, is there a way that I could talk to people like this that are more level-headed about the game and about life and all those things? And so I consider that the Jacobson effect, starting Rec Poker. But one of the things that I didn't know at the time, but in preparing for this interview, I realized, and I probably should have known this, but back then, for those of you who don't know, that the November 9 was months later. And so you got to the final table, you knew who you were going to be up against, and then there was the November 9 where you all came back and finished. And I found out recently just how much you prepared for that. And maybe talk a little bit about your preparation and how you had different people, from my understanding, sort of playing the roles of the players, your opponents. Talk about, and I know normally in a tournament, you're not going to have like that kind of preparation, but talk about how you did that and how that actually helped you prepare for the November 9, sort of having people role playing different people.
So the first thing I did when I made a final table was sort of ask myself, like, what can I do to, because I saw it as an opportunity with the November 9 format that they've scrapped now, but I think they had it for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And it was this opportunity for players to not only get a nice break before playing out the final after playing for 6 or 7 days straight, but also prepare themselves for the finals. So that's where I saw the opportunity. So I was asking myself, like, what can I do to prepare as good as possible? Because I knew this was a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I wanted to make sure that I did the absolute best I could to put myself in the best position to win the whole thing. So I started asking my friends, because at this point I had played poker professionally for about 6 or 7 years. So I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by a lot of other professionals. And they all knew how much this meant to me. So it was easy to ask them for their advice of what would you do if you were in my position. And I got a lot of great advice, and like together I created the Skype group with 30 of my close friends, and together we were just brainstorming on what we kind of do to prepare as optimally as we could. And we ended up, one guy was sponsored by one of the major poker sites, and he managed to set up an online simulation at the site in their home game section. So that was pretty cool. So we got to play, we managed to modify the stacks and develop line structure. And then I wrote player profiles. So I went through poker news and hand reporting and everything I could find about my opponents, wrote player profiles about their tendencies and how I imagined that they would approach the final table, if they would be, playing cautiously, if they would be scared of money, so to speak, or if they were going to go for it, and their bluffing frequencies and whatnot, everything I could find. And then I just handed that out to my friends who were playing my opponents. And then sometimes we would discuss as we were playing, and I was playing myself, obviously. And other times we would just play and then discuss afterwards. But it was both both ways were very beneficial, because it put me in that situation like so many times, and I got all the input from everyone who participated in these simulations. Everyone's sharing their advice, and we're talking about ranges and like, okay, what would we do in this scenario? And like, oh yeah, that's a good point. So I had so much information, added benefit to that element alone. But yeah, apart from that, I got some great advice, otherwise from everyone. So yeah, I felt very well prepared once the day came.
I just love it so much. We're huge proponents of community. Like we consider ourselves a vibrant and encouraging poker learning community. Like we're learning poker, but it's about community, really, building relationships and having that. And the fact that you were able to build the relationships and then leverage those relationships. I'm curious, like how different would it have been if you didn't have those people around you, if you didn't have your community, whether because of your personality or because you're unable to make friends, whatever the reason, if you had to prepare for the November 9, just you and whatever solvers were available or whatever books were available or your own research, like, do you think who knows the variance, but do you think that you could have won that thing without having the community around you that you had?
I mean, so very hard to answer, but no, probably not, to be honest. To me, that was a huge portion of it, like the whole experience, the community factor. That not only that I got all the help from my friends, but that we were able to go to Vegas together. They were with me the whole time. They were on the rail. They were giving me advice as we were playing and supporting me the whole way. And then afterwards, we could celebrate together as a team. So like we managed to take an individual sport or game or whatever you want to call it and turn it into like a team event almost. So it was, and I mean, everyone did that, my opponents had their rail too, but they were not nearly as prepared. And a lot of their friends were maybe not, as accomplished as my friends. So they weren't able to get as good feedback and advice as I was. So I was getting, high elite coaching along the way.
I love it.
That was definitely beneficial.
I love it. I know you're probably sick of talking about the main event, but thanks for jumping into our world.
Because never get sick of it, man.
Okay, well, I know I would be like, I don't care, talk to me all the time. But I'm sure it gets a little bit old, after all these years. But thanks for jumping in. But I mean, the reality is, that you had success there, but obviously you've got 39 World Series cashes, another $2 million beyond the 10. I mean, you've had a lot of success there, all the online stuff, all the other tours. I'm kind of curious with all the stuff that you've played, and, you know, I mean, you're from Sweden, now you're in London, I believe is where you are. You know, you've played all these different tours all over the world. Like, what's your favorite stop, or what's your favorite, you know, if there's only one tour going on this year that you could go to? I mean, obviously we've had the most bizarre 14 months that I can remember, but, you know, what would you choose? Like, what do you really love going, you know, playing or going to, or what's sort of that sweet spot for you?
Honestly, man, I love Vegas. I love playing poker in Vegas. It just means so much to me because that's where, you know, obviously with the history of gambling and stuff, but poker, but also like that's where my poker journey started. Like my first live tournament was the WSOP main event, where when I didn't know anyone. Like it was a very different experience from 2014 or what it would be today. But yeah, it's very nostalgic to me, the whole Vegas experience and playing the WSOP. You know, there's nothing bigger really. Like there's very nice tournaments in Europe, in Barcelona and in Monaco. Like I've been many times, but nothing really compares or beats Vegas, in my opinion.
So does that mean, so we've got, obviously this year is different. They've moved it to late September to mid-November. You know, typically do you go play, you know, the entire series, or you just pick a couple weeks around the main? And then, you know, how are you approaching this year?
I played, I think ever since 2009, I played like the full series. Yeah, I really haven't missed, maybe I missed 1 week, like the first week or so, but I usually do the full duration, and that's like how I like it. You know, it goes pretty fast in my opinion. I like to break it up. I go there, and then after 2-3 weeks, you know, maybe I've had some deep runs, but like at that point, I need to get out of Vegas. I need to leave town for a few days. So I like to go to Los Angeles or San Diego or somewhere and just like get away from Vegas, because it does get very intense, especially in the summer where it's high season and there's a lot going on. It's just too much poker after a while. So I think it's important to, even just going to like Red Rock or something, or going to Lake Mead, like somewhere locally, but just get off the strip. Like that to me is very important. Yeah, this year it will be different. And I really like that they moved it, you know, not just because of the pandemic, but it's something I wish that they would do every year, because it's a little bit sad for us Europeans to go to Vegas in June, July, because that's, you know, our summers here are very short.
Yeah.
And that's like sort of the prime time to be in London, especially.
And to go to the desert where it's 114 degrees and you can't.
Yeah, I don't mind that heat. I don't mind the heat, to be honest. And I like being in Vegas in the summer. I don't mind it at all. But it's just, if we could do it in September, October, November, where it starts getting cold here and pretty miserable, to be honest, like gray and dark, then that would be ideal, because Vegas weather that time of the year is great as well, even better. And it's not as hectic, you know, in terms of tourism. It's a bit quieter, so it'd be a lot easier to get around. Hotels would be cheaper and easier to get, you know, reservations, whatever. Like it just makes sense to me. So I hope they stick with it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, your cold get off the strip kind of thing. I've gone out there just 3 times, last 3 times I could, and been there for, you know, a week and a half, 2 weeks. And I was kind of like, I played. And I do think if I stay there longer, I need to take a little break. And this year we're actually going to get a house that we're renting for the duration off the strip, bring some rec poker people in. Yeah, because then, you know, there's a pool, it's off the strip. It's just sort of a, you know, play as much as you want, but then just take a day off and go do your thing or hang out at I think that's going to be important, especially for those who are going to do the whole 7-week stretch kind of thing. Are you able to, no, forgive me, I don't understand all the travel restrictions everywhere. Are you able to, as far as you know, go to Vegas this fall? And are you planning to then?
At that point, I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to. Yeah, it all depends. I mean, the vaccine rollout's been pretty efficient here. They've vaccinated like 60%, 70% of the population already. So I think at that point, like for sure, I would have had, you know, my both shots and be ready to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. But in terms of the house, like it's funny. That's how I think there's something to it because the last few years I've been staying in a hotel for the entire summer on the strip. I like to stay at the Vajara because they don't have a casino, and it's on the strip, but it's not right on the strip, so it's a little bit quieter maybe, but it's easy to get to everywhere. Like easy access everywhere. It takes 5 minutes to the Rio. So, but I've noticed a difference because previous years I've always rented a house with a bunch of friends, and like you say, you get off the strip and you have a pool, and it's not on the strip. And those years I felt like I've managed a lot better, like mentally and like energy wise, because I've had those breaks. You get back to the house, your friends are there. It's like you almost forget that you're in Vegas because it's so different compared to being on the strip. The strip is so intense because you're constantly surrounded by people that are just going to Vegas for 2 days to go all out partying. So whether like when you get back from the you're always going to bump into drunk people everywhere. Like that's just the reality of it. So I automatically absorb that energy somehow, I think, and it can get very intense. So I think that's why I felt the urge to leave like mid-series to take a break, to recharge, and then come back fresh.
Yeah, and that's kind of that's our philosophy too. Like, go to Vegas, do whatever you want to do, however you want to be. But yeah, for us, it's like, okay, no, we want this to be like a respite, a refuge, a chance to recharge for when you're playing, so you're not just completely surrounded by chaos all the time. So some people thrive in that. Maybe I'm too old, maybe my personality doesn't allow it, but I need the recharge. And I think just to have those, the conversations with other people, and whether it's about talking about your game and whatever, or if it's just, escaping a little bit.
That'd be great fun. That's a great idea.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe we can connect with you out there or something. Get a little meet and greet or something out there if you're ever free on a break or something. But I won't put you on the spot now. We'll talk about that offline if it works out. Last thing we want to do is just distract players. But I'm kind of curious. I know, man, I could talk to you for hours. I just love how you think and how you approach life in the game. But you were involved. We did a free JAT and training course, and you were involved, I believe, in 3 of those sessions. Doing some of that group training. And I know you also do individual coaching as well. Martin Jacobson, what's .pro, I think is your website?
Yeah, Martin Jacobson .pro is my domain. And then the coaching section there with all the info about the course, and my individual one-on-ones as well. Yeah, sorry, you could go ahead.
Well, no, that's good. That's good. Sometimes I don't know where I'm going, but ultimately what I wanted to do is just kind of find out your perspective on that. Like, the coaching. So, you're playing obviously as a professional, but you're doing some coaching, individual and some group training. I'm not sure other things that you're doing, but like kind of how do you balance that? Why do you enjoy coaching? Is it just because it's something different, or is there something about the coaching element that drives you and kind of fuels you? Or talk a little bit about your involvement in the poker industry and how you balance some of those things.
Yeah, I've been playing poker for so long now. Like I've been playing poker for 13 years professionally, which is way above what I would have expected. I never expected to be a professional poker player in the first place. It's just sort of happened, and here we are. But obviously, I love the game. I've always played a game, and it's something I really enjoy to challenge myself. But lately, and especially I think the past year or so, with the pandemic, I've always split my time between 50-50 about online and live, because I think there's pros and cons to both, but I like the variety, and I like the social aspect of playing live, and I like to get in my own world and play 12 tables at once, every now and then. But lately, obviously, it's been all online, at least for me here in Europe. And I was sort of looking for, how I could branch out. How can I use what I've learned in poker and apply it to something else, like doing something different, something that gives me maybe a little bit more meaning. And I found coaching ticks all the boxes, because I get to get involved. I stay involved in poker, and I get to share my knowledge and my experience, and I can help somebody else achieve their goal and receive the mental stimulants like that way, because to me that's very exciting, to help someone achieve their goals and to like sort of be a part of that. That's something that really fuels me and motivates me. So that's what I love about coaching that it gives me the ability to do that.
Do you have other things that you're involved in too? I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, obviously that's great. And I know talking to other, poker players who have gone into coaching, it also provides a fixed income piece. And I don't know if that's part of it for you, but I know for them, they're saying, well, it's just nice to know I've got some fixed cash flow coming in with the variability, especially of tournament play and that sort of thing. Do you do anything else? Like, are you writing anything? Are you getting, whether it's articles or book writing or anything other in the industry, or is it pretty much, I'm playing and I'm coaching, and then I'm just trying to sort of enjoy life, the rest of it?
Well, I started writing a book about 2 years ago now.
Me too.
Well,
So.
year and a half
not
ago,
poker,
yeah.
but writing a book is harder than people think.
It's very hard, yes. And something the first few pages went pretty smooth, and like the outlining of it, but then actually getting to it and putting pen to paper, it's very hard, at least to get the volume and the quality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much a perfectionist as well, so I edit as I write, and it's just not working. Like everything, I've studied a lot of writing and like how to write effectively, and everyone always says that you should just the first draft is gonna suck. It's just how it is. So
the
don't worry
shitty
about
first
it.
draft. Sorry, pardon my language, but I know there's a writer that always says just
that's the term.
draft.
Shitty first draft.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it. Just like get it out, like few hundred pages, and then start editing. And then you edit and edit and edit and edit. But it's just so hard for me.
It's hard to do. I'm the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. But I have the outline, I have the chapters, and everything's ready to go. So like, I don't want to push myself either. I don't want to make it a short either, because it's not something I have to do. It's something I would want to do, or at least I think I want to do it. But then there's other ways to structure it as well. Like maybe I'll start a podcast, or a YouTube channel. Like that's something I've explored as well. And I think that would be a good way for me to expand my coaching project, where I can share a lot of knowledge, reach a much bigger audience through YouTube. So that's something I'm exploring as well. So I have a few different projects, and then over the last few years I've been investing in some companies as well. Entrepreneurship and business is something I'm very passionate and interested in as well. So those are kind of
I love it. Man after my own heart. I'm a business coach on the side. That's my real job. So I love hearing that. I love hearing that there's people like you that are investing in small businesses or entrepreneurs or startups, because I think those folks really can change the world in some pretty cool ways, creating jobs and all of those sorts of things. So I am curious about your cooking. However, I know you originally wasn't at least, reportedly, who knows if this is true or not, but you were maybe thinking about becoming a chef prior to your poker career. So is that still part of your story? Are you still pretty active in the kitchen, or what's going on there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was a chef. I went to culinary school. Yeah. I worked for 2 years, and then I did 1 year in the Swedish military service as a chef on a battleship. That was a good experience too, because I was sort of like the head chef there. So it was like I had my own little kitchen and full reign of what I wanted to order, and I could design the menus and cook everything myself, or with my one other partner. And that was the plan. I had high ambitions as a chef. I wanted to move to Barcelona actually, and I got a job offer in Barcelona to work at a 3-star Michelin restaurant there. And I'd been, at this point, I'm 21 years old. I just got back from Vegas from my disaster of a poker trip where I won the package to WSOP Maine and I busted in the third hand. But anyway, that's a different story. Anyway, after that point, I tasted the traveling and then the maybe potential of like leaving Sweden for a few years and just like widen my horizon and see what's out there. So when I got the job offer, I jumped on it, and I was gonna move there and work, and then So I quit my job in Stockholm, the restaurant in Stockholm at the time. And then during this period, I just couldn't get a hold of my contact, the woman who set this job offer up for me. To this day, I haven't heard from her. I don't know what happened. But anyway, so it was during this period though that I started playing more poker, because now I was sort of in between two jobs. I knew I was going to be a chef, like that was a given. But I wasn't stressing too much about finding a new job, because as a chef, like especially a young chef, when you know a few people in the industry, you can always get a job. Like that was never, and I was living at home at the time. My expenses weren't that high, if any. So I luckily had the pretty good opportunity to at least try playing some more poker, because I had the time and I didn't have a lot of expenses. So that's sort of how it went. So I started playing more poker, and I think I got second in the Sunday Million like pretty soon after.
That'll do it.
Yeah, and then I started playing qualifiers to big live events and qualified for EPT Budapest and managed to get third place there. That was it pretty much. And this is all, mind you, this is all in like 4 months. So I won the WSOP package in May, went to Vegas in June, July, got second in Sunday Million in August, and then in October I qualified for EPT Budapest and got third there for like 250,000 euros or whatever it was. And then at that point I had enough of a bankroll to just continue, giving it a shot. And then I knew at the back of my mind, I always knew that I wasn't stressing about if it was going to work out or not. I was just kind of like going with the flow and see, like, because poker back then was so new, like not just to me, but like to most people, like everyone was kind of new to the game. So no one really knew what was going on or how long this was going to last for. This was just a few years after Moneymaker. So in Europe, especially, like poker was booming, a few years after that. So it was a good opportunity. And then I knew at the back of my mind that like if poker didn't work out, I could always go back to cooking and get a job again and pick that up. So
I love it. And so are you still do you cook your own food? Are you pretty active? Do you enjoy cooking still?
Yeah. I love cooking. I mean, I don't cook as much, anymore maybe, but no, I'll always have a strong passion for cooking. It's something I really like doing. It's something so mindful and meditative about it, like cooking your own food and like experimenting with flavors. And I hate following recipes, like that's the one. So I'm really bad at baking, because that's the main requirement for baking. Like you have to measure everything. So I'm more of a like open the fridge, see what I got. Okay, these flavors would work together. I take some spices and I just make a meal out of it.
That's pretty sweet. Like my wife always tells me, if you can read, you can bake. And I'm like, so that's usually that's the constraint of my cooking and baking ability is whatever. If I can read, I'm pretty good at halving and doubling, pretty good at fractions, so I can do that kind of stuff.
Read and follow instructions. Yeah,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
One at a time. One at a time. Yeah, exactly. Well, I know we're almost at time. We're probably past time. So I appreciate your time on here. I'm curious, and Jim, if you have a strategy question, feel free to jump in. I know I'm just a kid in the candy store at this point, but I am kind of curious, like, what would you say to recreational players? And I know you've talked to people around the world at different stages. So, as we came on here, we're saying, most of our folks are the folks that are working full-time or not, at least part-time, and poker, they love poker, they love playing the game, they want to get better, but they're never going to be able to put in 300 tournaments in a 3-week period of time and then grow from there. They're probably, a lot of us aren't ever going to be playing around the world kind of thing, but we love the game, but we do really want to get better. What sort of advice would you have, whether it's it's a paradigm or whether it's a strategy approach, or how do we get better, but how do we stay in love with the game?
My best advice, and this is actually something that some very high level poker playing friends of mine are following as well, is that if you have a love for the game and you're interested in learning and getting better, watch high level poker content and try to think and see what they do, and then just copy that. Just do whatever they do, and see how it goes, and then you'll get in a lot of spots, and then you'll see like, oh, this actually works. I don't know why I'm doing this, but this actually works. And then try to figure out why am I doing this? Why is this player doing this here in this type of spot? And can I do that too? You know, it's kind of like monkey see, monkey do. Like it's like a cheap and like a quite efficient way of learning. You know,
you gotta fake it till you make it kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I think so. And figure it out along the way. Because if you're not going to dedicate hours and end up studying and like doing the solve the work and look at charts and all of that, just see what other good players are doing. And so watch a lot of poker content and see what hands they play and how they play them in different spots, and then just try to think about that. Actively think, don't just watch, but like remember and see. Try to differentiate and like try to realize why they're doing certain things and how they're doing it, and then try to implement that into your own game, and then actively think about why.
I like that.
And why it's efficient.
So it's sort of like just kind of figure out who you're going to trust, who you're going to follow, and then just try to imitate them. And maybe you don't ever figure out the fundamental philosophies behind it, but if you're making more money, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's okay. But the thing with solvers too is that the way solvers work is that you put your range versus your opponent's range, and then the solver gives you the result, but it doesn't give you the calculation or the explanation of this is why I'm playing these hands. That's just up for interpretation. So no one really has everyone has their theory of why we're supposed to play a certain way, but no one really knows. There's no black and white answers in poker. It's like so much about it is perspective and interpretation and your experience and your view of things. So you shouldn't stress too much about that because no one really knows. So yeah, just try to be, poker at the end of the day, it's all about being better in your competition. So if you're better than the guy next to you, then you're already making money in the tournament. So
well, that's the thing about GTO. You already kind of touched on it. You have to assume everybody's playing optimally, and nobody can play optimally. And Nash equilibriums, there's a million assumptions that go into that, and so but it's a good foundation. And so at the end of the day, figure out who you want to kind of model your game off of. Try some things that they're doing, see if it works, and implement the things that do and what you're comfortable with. So we'll wrap up there. I mean, I could ask you a million more questions, but what's coming up, either, things that you have coming up, either that you want to share about coaching or whatever, or just events that you have coming up that you're excited about? What's kind of the very next chapter in the life of Martin Jacobson?
So yeah, with Scoop done and the online stuff over, I'm going to focus more on the coaching now, leading up to the WSOP, and also do my own study work along with that. So I'm quite excited about that. Hopefully get the YouTube channel started. So make sure to check that out. Do another course with Farid. We're going to modify the course, make it more interactive. Some next level stuff there. So that would be very interesting and exciting. And apart from that, I'm going to do my one-on-one coaching. So if anyone's interested, they can go to my website and send me an email. I do a free consultation first, and then try to tailor every session specifically to the student needs. So depending on what they need, and so it can be optimized and as efficient as possible. So not wasting anyone's time. That's about it, really. And then I'm just looking forward to the WSOP, and hopefully get to enjoy the summer here in London.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if you guys, reach out to Martin. Martin, if there's anything that you end up, doing or releasing, whether it's a YouTube channel or whatever, and you want us to let our folks know about it, just say the word. We will let folks know about it and direct them in that way. So we'd love to direct people to good people who are obviously, very, very experienced players as well. So if you need anything, let us know. If you guys can't figure out how to get a hold of Martin, get a hold of me. I will connect you with Martin to make sure you can get the coaching or whatever information you want. But Martin, man, a pleasure to officially meet you, to have you on the show, and hopefully we'll bump shoulders in Vegas this fall.
I'm sure. Yeah, I can't wait, man. Just Vegas.
All right. Well, there he goes, Martin Jacobson. Thank you so much. We're going to do some community happenings here, so you can jump off, and we'll take it from here. But I'm glad you survived what looked like a hurricane at one point in London there out your back window. But seems like things have calmed down there now.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, take
thanks,
care,
guys. Yeah, good talk.
All right,
Martin.
take care.
Vegas. Bye.
All right. All right. Well, Jim Reed, what do you think, young man?
Well, it's always, I've got to speak with him as part of the Fridge and training course we were doing. It's always fun talking to him. He's got a great attitude, a great mind for poker. The one thing that jumped out at me at that was, as you know, we're starting our new seminar format in June that Chris Jones is putting together. And the way that Martin was talking about preparing for the November 9, just really, it was exactly what we're talking about. It's like going back to this old play and learn strategy that we used to do here at Rec Poker, but with non-line components. So I'm really excited to see how that comes around. We're obviously on the right track, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, I love that idea. We've done a few things. Chris is going to take it to the next level, but yeah, this idea of create different simulations, have different people playing different parts. Like, you don't know who they are, but they're going to be playing aggressive or whatever. And forcing people to adjust to that sort of thing. I love it. Yeah. And I was reading more about how he prepared and how he had all these people and who he feared the most, Jared Von Hof, and I just love, that, and I'm sure he was probably more prepared than anybody else. And who knows? Variance obviously plays, he could have got cooler the first hand, but I'm sure that preparation helped him. And like that quote that we had in the front end, luck kind of is where preparation meets opportunity. And I think he's somebody who's taken advantage of that.
Yeah, couldn't have put it better. And that is one of those things where it's like, when the opportunity comes, you want to be prepared. And
Yes.
It's like what I tell all the people that I work with all the time. You don't have to solve poker, but you don't want to be thinking about a problem for the first time while you're at the poker table. Do that thinking in advance and prepare yourself.
It's so good. Prior preparation prevents failure, whatever. There are different sayings, but it's one of the reasons. Somsky's putting together this heads up tournament. Where we're going to have people heads up, because you don't want to be at the final table of an MSPT, get there. And, you don't want to be, second place in an MSPT or wherever is great. Right. But the biggest pay jump is second to first. And you don't want to get to that point, and the only thing you've ever done is maybe played once or twice in a $30 tournament. But even then you usually don't, because people chop. And so, you want to be prepared. And so that's why we're trying to prepare us and everybody else. So when you're heads up, it's not like, oh man, I'm completely lost here. I've never done this. I don't even know where the button is. Am I in the small blind or the big blind? Get comfortable playing heads up, and in all those, get comfortable playing against limpers. Get comfortable playing against hyper agros that are going 8x pot. Like, get comfortable in all those situations. So when you see it, you're not like, oh man, I don't know what to do. You're thinking, oh, I've been through this before. And so that is part of what we're trying to do. So, all right, so we'll transition to that thing, but let's hear from Jonathan Little.
Have you ever wondered whether you should call a preflop raise or 3-bet instead? What do you do when you have a flush draw? Do you raise it, or do you just call? What do you do with ace-king when you miss the flop? Are you tired of guessing about what the right play is with your particular hand? Well, my name is Jonathan Little, and I am a 2-time World Poker Tour champion and creator of PokerCoaching.com, where we offer over 1,000 interactive hand quizzes where you play a hand and then get real-time feedback from our world-class pros. Don't guess and don't stress. Just register for your free account at pokercoaching.com/recpoker right now.
All right, do it, guys. You heard the man. Pokercoaching.com/recpoker. Jonathan Little, great friend of Rec Poker, as are so many of these folks that are, they don't need to give us the time of day, but they do, because they're interested in growing the game, including Martin Jacobson. That was an absolute delight. And like you said, we met him briefly before, but to have him on, have him share some of those thoughts, that was fantastic. So let's talk more about what's going on in Rec Poker Nation. The first thing I do want to bring up, and I teased this at the beginning, if I can find it here, is the fact that we've got, I don't even know where it is. It doesn't matter. I know the stuff. So I talked to Running Aces. They are our official sponsor. For those of you who are in Minnesota, they're one of the 2 major casinos. There are others that are in Minnesota, and people are clamoring to get back to tournament poker. The issue is capacity. That's really what it is. That there's only so much capacity they can have in their space. because of state restrictions. And so they're kind of waiting for that. People say, yeah, but Canterbury's having tournaments. Yeah, Canterbury has 3 different levels. They have 6 different zones that they call them. So they are able to sort of segment those things off. Aces doesn't have that luxury at this point. But there's things in the works. We're working on some things. But the other piece is once they get capacity, they need more dealers to be able to deal these big tournaments that we want to be able to have there. They just built the hotel. Of course, it opened right before COVID. So big plans to bring people in, have these big tournaments, but they need dealers. So if you are somebody who's out there going, I'm pretty detail oriented, I can pay attention, I'm pretty level headed, and I've always wanted to maybe try to get into the poker industry. This is a great way to get into the industry. They're starting a new dealers class. It starts on May 17th. It's like 6 hours a day for a few weeks. They really teach you all the different games, how to manage it all. You don't need to have experience. You just need to be detail oriented, be able to kind of pay attention, and you can make some good money. They gave me some insight into what people are making. It's pretty good money. So you could do that as a poker dealer. May 17th it starts. Go to the Running Aces website, runaces.com. Let me know. We can get you connected there, but they need more dealers. And I know a fair amount of the folks that have dealt at Running Aces and are dealing at Running Aces go out to the World Series and they end up dealing to Daniel Negreanu and all these superstars. And I know a couple of folks have even dealt final tables. And so it's a great way to get into the industry. And then you meet all these people. And whether you want to stay a dealer or do something else, now you're known. Now you're a known commodity. And I tell you, relationships are everything in the poker industry. So go ahead.
And not only that, but I mean, you want to get better at poker. You want to. We were just talking about getting mental reps in. If you're the one controlling the action, you're the one that has to know what the pot is every time. You got to be calling bets out. You got to be doing quick math, stuff like that. And also, it's a great opportunity to hand range opponents. Like while you're there, you're sitting there, you're looking at every hand, you're seeing the action, you're putting people in boxes. So, not only is it a great way into the poker industry, but it's a great way to get better at poker, to learn more about poker. So I'd encourage everyone to go and give it a try. Dealing poker is a great way to make
that's a great point. And I know people learn a lot by dealing. And I know I've played against dealers and they're like, I figured you were probably weak here. What I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, I've got like 6,000 hands on you. Like I've watched you play 6,000 hands. I know what you're probably doing here. And it's super fun. So yeah, that's a great point. It's a great way to learn the game and learn all these other games too, because you're kind of forced to. And I think one of the other key things is, you need to be pretty good at quick math. Like you don't need to know calculus. You don't need to know long division, all this sort of stuff, but you need to be pretty good at being able to kind of, 1,600 and then they bet 3,200. And if you're keeping track of pot stuff or whatever, you need to know that stuff. So if you're pretty good at that kind of thing and managing a game and paying attention, they would love to have a conversation with you. So anyway, I told them as their partner, we'll put the word out for you guys, see if we can get you a few folks into that class, because I have a vested interest, because I want to see those games grow once we can have those big tournaments. I want to hop down there 20 minutes down to Columbus and
yes, sir,
running up a stack, man. I can't wait to get back into this thing. All right,
Let's get you back to Mecca.
It's the Mecca. That's what I tell Tracy every time I drive by. There's the Mecca. She loves it. But I haven't been there since Rec Poker Day, February 29th of 2020. Come on. But now I'm fully vaccinated as of 2 days from now. I'm going to go play somewhere, and I don't know what it's going to look like. But I'm itching, baby.
Steve can't wait to go put in that hero call against somebody on the river. Bring it up.
Totally punt off my stack hero calling, but it might be a home game. That might be the first thing I want to do, just from a sentimental perspective. Like get 8 other folks that are fully vaccinated, come to my house and just have like a vaccination celebration tournament, and maybe watch Monty Python or something.
That does sound fun,
right? All right, so
nice. Good for you. Enjoy that.
Yeah, well, we'll see when it happens. I'm sure my schedule will just open up soon.
You got some free time coming up, don't you, Steve?
All the free time I have, yeah. Well, let's shift into the other stuff. So Running Aces dealers class, but home game winners, we do not have the great John Somsky with us today. So you're gonna have to interrupt me.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. But I can't give it the same flavor that Somsky does. But basically, here's what happened. So April 26th. The captain, Rob Atzum, Captain Walleye, wins the nightly tournament. Tuesday night, Rick Day.
My man, Razy Daisy himself.
Wake Forest, North Carolina. One of our silver pin winners. He took down the tournament on Tuesday. Wednesday night, It says private name. I know who it is. Great dude. But he goes by the name Swedish Fishy 77.
Oh, this
and I
person
believe
has
that,
the profile pic of Hatchet, the young children's book. I think it's a very
was
good
there,
one. Sorry,
I
now
have
you've been
no idea.
interrupted. Now you've been interrupted, Somsky Styles.
His initials are LL. Great dude, but I believe that is his first nightly win. Trey 371, Thomas Penna. Nice job. I believe that was Thursday night, April 29th. Takes down the nightly tournament there. Friday night, Howitzer 2007, private name, takes down the tournament there. Hey, if you guys know too, if you're listening to this going, man, I wish my name was said. My name wasn't said. What we do is everybody that's playing in the tournament, you've got a profile at rec.poker, because if you don't, you can't play. So we know you have a profile and your name is out there in your profile, but we do not say your name unless you've indicated that it can be made publicly available. So that's perfectly fine. We're fine saying private, but if you're going, crap, they didn't say my name, why not? Because your name is listed as private. So flip that switch, make it
go
public.
Win another tournament. There you go.
What's that?
And then just go win another tournament, baby.
And then go win another tournament. I might even do a retroactive shout out for you if you give me a shout, give me a notification. Saturdays we play 4 tournaments. All right. We've got the international events at 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. Central. And Magra takes one down, a small field, but Doug Drabeck again takes down one of the internationals, and Denise Aces, Denise Allen, takes down the other international event. And then Saturday night, we do our regular home game, and we also do our mixed game practice. So the regular home game, Fred Justice goes by Foundry 37, takes down that one. And man, I'm seeing a lot of these first-time winners, so that's fantastic to see. We keep expanding the field. Way to go, Fred. And the great Mark Bloomberg takes down the mixed event practice, and I believe that is Limit Hold'em. So I believe that is the one that we are gearing up for. If you don't know, every Saturday night we do a mixed game practice, and the game that we play is the monthly mixed game that's coming up next. So the first Wednesday of every month, we do our monthly No Limit Hold'em series. That's our big one for Player of the Year. The second Wednesday of every month, that's our mixed game monthly. It goes for Player of the Year points as well. It's the only night in the entire month we don't play Hold'em. So I know I do get a lot of messages from people, man, where's the Hold'em? There's one night a month we don't play any Hold'em. It's the second Wednesday. It's only mixed game. There's no additional Hold'em tournament. So I'm sorry. We only do like 40 Hold'em tournaments a month. That's the one day, but the one day we don't. So I apologize for that. But anyway, Mark Bloomberg takes down the mixed game practice one. And then Sunday night is our LPP. You win a free month at LPP if you win that sucker. The great Roger Lamp, honestly, one of my favorite people in poker. I've gotten to know him a little bit pre-COVID. Great dude. He goes by Shamu Star 27140. And he took that down, which means, of course, that he won the last longer against his wife. By definition, he won the thing. So that's a good thing. Way to go, Roger. Way to on Sunday night. So
that's right. And Roger, because you won on Sunday night, you won the Learn Pro Poker Sunday night tournament, which means that you've won a free month at Learn Pro Poker. So, and if Ryan LaPlante was playing on Sunday, if anyone took him out, because he plays a lot of the Sundays in the Rec Poker home game, you could also win a month at Learn Pro Poker. So Roger, send me an email, jim@rec.poker, and I will send you that Learn Pro Poker prize information. Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah, great stuff. So kind of a who's who this week. Rob Adson, Rick Day, private. Thomas Penna, private. Fred Justice, Mark Bloomberg, Doug Grabeck, Denise Allen, Roger Lamp. You all qualified for a bronze Rec Poker pin if you haven't already earned one in the series. So way to go, you guys. Mad props to all of you. So what else should we talk about, Jim? There's a million things going on. Anything kind of front of mind that we need to make sure we're aware of?
This is going to come out on a Tuesday, and every Tuesday night we have our online play and hang where premium members get together while they're playing in the home game and just enjoy each other's company over a Zoom call like this. So if people listen to this on the day that it comes out, you've got that lined up. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, we have a few different things that happen on Wednesdays, but the Wednesday right after this episode is the focus, where Chris Jones is looking at various hands ways to break hands down using Equilab, Flopzilla, GTO Plus, other tools like that. So Chris does this once a month, and then I host my own little study group to follow up a little later in the month. And this has been a really good course of study for some of our premium members who are trying to figure out what's the best way to use these tools. How can we get the most out of tools like this? So I'm really looking forward to the next step in that one.
That's so great. And a lot of people are really taking you up on that too, right? They want to learn the tools. I know we've had people that have been using the link to get Poker Tracker and that sort of thing. So it does seem to be a movement in that direction. People are grabbing hold of that deal. So
yeah,
Jim, way to get those people fired up. But there is so much at Rec Poker. And again, I say this all the time, and we're community first. It's all about being positive. It's about being encouraging. It's about being vibrant. It's about that thing, but man, it's fun to learn the game and to win some stuff in the meantime. So we welcome you to be part of our community. That's free of charge. Just go to rec.poker, become a community member, we call it. With that, you can play in the home games. You have access to all of the videos for the podcasts and blogs that are written, and you can be in the forums. You can do all kinds of stuff just for free. Go to rec.poker. It's not recpoker.com. It's rec.poker. I know that wigs people out the first time you do that. And then take a look at the premium stuff that we have. I don't know how many hours of stuff we put out, how many events we put out a month. It's insane how much stuff it is, but it's all grounded in community, right? It's learning in the context of community, and it's great stuff. And you can try it. It's $15 a month, full price, or $150 a year. But if you sign up, you get $10 off that first payment if you use the code RECPOKER. So if you want to try it for a month, you sign up, you go to the premium thing, click on it. You're going to have to pay $5. I am sorry. That is the cost of the barrier to entry. It is a $5 bill, but you try it for a month. If you don't like it, get out of there. No strings attached. But that doesn't happen very often. People love the thing. And if you're having trouble figuring out where to go, what to try, just reach out to Jim or I. Just reach out and say, hey, I'm new to the community. Here's how I like to learn. Here's the time that I have. How should I optimize my time? We would love nothing more than to point you in the right direction. So do that as well. Anything else that I know the crew isn't here because we're recording during the day because Martin's over in Europe. Is there anything else that you know of from Rob or Chris or Andrew that you need to share?
Just the same great stuff keeps rolling out month after month. These guys, we're in these regular situations where Andrew's putting out a new Learning with Partners video every Saturday. Rob's doing the book study every 2 weeks. Chris does the seminar every month and the focus every month. So, I could tell you what's coming up this month, but it's just more of the same great stuff, Steve.
It's just a lot. It's a lot of really good stuff for every learning style that there is. Yeah, that Learning with Partners is great because
we don't talk about how great that is.
15 minutes of their premium content. You don't have to pay any of their membership stuff. We have a partnership with them. They give us 15 minutes a month that you get to watch just for free of their premium content. I mean, we're talking like Solve for Why, Red Chip Poker, Learn Pro Poker, PokerCoaching.com. I'm sure I'm missing some.
Yeah, LPP. There's a couple other ones in there too, where this is like their premium. This is their real strategy stuff that's only available behind the paywall. They're letting Rec Poker members get a peek behind the curtain. It's great. It's part of this community that we're building here, Steve.
Phenomenal stuff. All right, so if nothing else, we can wrap it up there. Man, Martin was so much fun. Thank you, Martin Jacobson, for joining us. That was absolutely a delight. As a kid, like I said, 2014, like that was the year I watched him play. I'm like, wow, this is really, that actually, really grabbed hold of me more than any of the other final tables had before. So that was super fun. And then to be able to chance, here we are 7 years later, getting a chance to chat with him was just a delight. But Jim, thanks for jumping on here. I know it's middle of the day, which isn't always easy, but great.
It's the highlight of my week, man. Thanks for having me. I love these.
Of course. Well, I think we can wrap it up there. So if you want to cue the music, again, thanks, Martin. Thanks, Jim. Check everything out. Thanks to Running Aces Casino, Racetrack, and Hotel. Again, check out that dealer class there. Thanks, Mark Pershawn at Website AMP for his ongoing sponsorship. And we'll chat with you next week.